Good day, dear students. My name is Annette van Heerden. I'm your tutor in the Diploma in Pre and Junior Primary Education, Mother Tongue Literacy and Development, Semester 1. Welcome to this very important module. Literacy development is the most important subject for any junior primary teacher, as this forms the basis for reading, and reading is the pathway for learning throughout a child's school and tertiary career. The purpose of this module is to develop a theoretical understanding of the mother tongue and second language development. Important information. As from 2017, we were instructed to compile only one exam paper for both the DPP and the DJP courses. This was not very easy to do, as the content of the two study guides differ a lot. I therefore had to make use of choice questions, where I could not find enough similar content in both the study guides. So when answering a choice question, you must choose the part of the question that occurs in your specific study guide and answer only that. The choice questions will look as follows. Answer only one of the following questions. Judy Hayes conducted a study on the 5 stages of second language acquisition. Name and describe these 5 stages. Or, David Crystal's theory on child language acquisition involves 5 stages. Describe these stages according to him. You will find that Judy Hayes is in the DPPE study guide and David Crystal is in the DJP study guide. You only answer the one that applies to your course. If you answer both, only the first one will be marked. General remarks on the answering of your examination. Your exam paper consists of the following: a cover page, instruction page, and questions to be answered. The cover page is divided into a left and right column. The left column will be filled in by the tutor when marking. Please do not fill in here. The right column must be filled in by you. The following headings can be found on the right column of the cover page and must be filled in by you. Under the heading Student Details, fill in the following information: the CIF or student number, then your surname, your first name and only your initials of the next names, your ID number, your examination center, and your signature. General instructions. At the bottom of the cover page, you will find the general instructions. Please read through them and make sure you understand. The questions should be answered on the question paper in the lines underneath each question. Answer all questions. Use the mark allocation for each question as a guide for how many facts you should write down. It is best to number the facts underneath each other. Write neatly and legibly. If I cannot read what you wrote, I cannot allocate marks to you. This paper consists of 8 pages, including the cover page. Count the pages and make sure that all are there. No cheating or disturbing. Serious steps will be taken against anyone who cheats or disturbs an examination session. The next page is the examination instructions. No unauthorized material or irregularities. No asking for or giving any assistance to each other. No cell phones. No leaving the room in the first 30 minutes. And no late arrivals will be allowed. The question and answering paper is the property of IOL and may not be kept or parts thereof removed. All answers should be on the IOL pages. No smoking or eating in the examination room. And last but not the least, sign the checklist before you leave the room. The most common mistakes made by students in previous exams is to think that my marking can help you pass your exam. I cannot help you pass. I mark according to a memorandum and my work is being moderated. I cannot give you marks when the correct facts is not written down. Only you can help yourself pass the examination. The cue to answer a very good exam paper is study your IOL study guide very well, because all answers will be from this. Study the work that was summarized in this exam-based contact session. You can also find this on the portal. Study the corrected answers in your returned assignment, as approximately 20% will be in the examination. Read the questions in the paper until you understand what is asked. Lots of students do not understand what is asked in the questions. Answer in your own words. This means construct the correct facts from your study guide into your own words. This does not mean make up your own facts and stories and write it down. While doing this, make sure you do not lose some important facts of the specific question. To avoid this, list or number the facts underneath each other wherever possible. Listing cannot be done when you are asked to answer in an essay. Suggestions on how to study. You cannot pass this subject if you do not know the content of the study guide. You cannot start studying only one day before your examination. After receiving your study guide, immediately summarize the content. Read through your summary at least once a week. About 2 months before the examination, start studying. Do not try to study the whole content in one day, but divide it into portions that you can handle. Restudy the content on a regular basis to ensure that you remember it. Do not try to write MT1 and MT2 in the same examination. Rather pay enough attention to one at a time in order to pass your examination. The understanding on how to answer a question. Every exam paper is set in 3 levels of difficulty, level 1, 2, and 3. These levels are usually indicated by the specific verb that leads the question. In the front part of your study guide, you will find a list of verbs and what is expected of you when I use a specific verb. You will have to study this list, or you will lose marks when not knowing what to do. The levels in your exam paper is divided as follows: level 1 60%, level 2 30%, and level 3 10%. I will now tell you how to use the verbs in your answer, and I will explain the verbs that is used most commonly. For level 1, the most common verbs is list and name. Here you can only name the content or list the content directly as it is in your study guide. Also in level 1, define, describe, outline, explain, summarize, or identify. With all these, you just give the description or explanation that you should study in your study guide. But with level 2, the verbs is discuss, analyze, comment, examine, design, create, investigate, and demonstrate. With these verbs, you must still use the facts from your study guide, but you cannot only give the facts as it is. Some other actions is needed. For example, discuss. You give a clear description of the facts and then you argue about the features. In examine, you identify the detailed features of something, you give the facts as it is in your study guide, and then discuss them according to a given direction and drawing a conclusion. Use the list in your study guide to find out what you will have to do with every other verb above. In level 3, the verbs is evaluate. Here you must determine the value or the worth or the quality or success of something according to a certain criteria. In compare, you have to indicate the similarities, the resemblances, and the differences of the phenomena regarding particular criteria. You must also then draw a conclusion about the similarities and the differences, emphasizing the similarities. Very often a table format is used to compare the phenomena or facts. If you are asked to compare some facts to your class, make sure you indicate which of these facts you have found in your classroom. If you do not have a classroom yet, discuss this with a teacher that has a classroom. The next verb, discuss critically. Students have to provide positive facts, negative points, and then draw a conclusion. With the verb determine, you use the information given to work out the answer. So you first list the information, then use them to work out the answer. With distinguish, differentiate, or contrast, here you describe the two phenomena or things according to the relevant criteria, and then you point out clearly the differences between the two sets. It is very important that you know what to do with all the verbs, as not knowing will cause you losing valuable marks. Dear students, if you failed the previous exam, make sure that you obtain a report on what you did wrong from IOL officers, or send me an email for the report. I don't see any use of discussing specific questions from previous exams, as no questions will be repeated in the next exam. Instead, I will give you an overview of the study guide explaining what to study. Your exam paper. All questions should be answered. Where a choice question is applicable, make sure you answer only one of the two. Otherwise, only the first answer will be marked. Read your questions with care. Make sure you know what is expected with every verb in each question. And last but not the least, make sure you know English grammar as well as English language structure. Every paper has a question on this. Important questions to study from your study guide. Use the refs that is given to find the answer. For example, if I say E1, number 1.2.2, it means Unit 1, heading number 1.2.2. Students, make sure you look for the answers indicated to your specific course, DJPE or DPPE. The verbs indicating what is expected in each question will be in bold. See your study guide to know what is expected when using each verb. In the DJP study guide 1.1 and the pre-primary study guide number 4.1, give an overview of the language families found in Namibia. Go to the list and see what you should do when I ask you to give an overview. DJP number 1.3, culture. Define what you understand under the term culture. Define is a level 1 verb, and you can only give the definition of culture. DJP number 1.3 paragraph 9 and number 2.2 paragraph 1. Explain the term cultural identity. Also listing the factors that influence the cultural identity and explaining the factors that influences our personal worldview. So here is 3 verbs: explain, list, and again explain. Pre-primary Unit 1, number 4.3, explain how cultural diversity and identity are deflected in language by looking at the role of mother tongue as well as English-only education. DPP Unit 1, number 4.4.1, Judy Haynes conducted a study on the 5 stages of second language acquisition. Name and describe these 5 stages. DJP number 1.4, David's crystal theory on child language acquisition involves 5 stages. Describe these stages according to him. DPP Unit 1, number 4.4.3.1, Halgunsev divided sequential second language into 4 stages. Name and discuss each stage, comparing each to your classroom. Also mentioning the founding of researchers. DJP 1.4. In Stephen Krashen's theory of second language acquisition, he discussed multilingual education, MLE, and a 4-stage program. Now here you will see there is 3 verbs: discuss, MLE, and these 4 stages. State what research has shown and compare this to your class. Discuss, level 2. State, level 1. Compare, level 3. With a discuss, you must list the facts and discuss it. State, you can only state what research has shown, but compare, you have to compare this to your class. DPP Unit 1 number 4.5 and DJP number 1.5. Discuss the national language policy with regard to mother tongue up to grade 4. And the next question, choose one of the following approaches to develop literacy and discuss this approach. Constructivist learning in DPP Unit 2 number 4.2, or the language experience approach in the DJP study guide number 2.3. In DPP Unit 2 number 4.3 and DJP number 2.4, define and discuss the alphabetic principle and its importance in the early literacy development. Define, only the definition. Discuss, give the facts and the discussion. Pre-primary Unit 2 number 4.4 plus Unit 3 Learning Activity 6. How children learn words and vocabulary and literacy. And in the DJP, you will find this in number 2.5. Then, analyze the relationship between oral language and literacy learning. Analyze is a level 2 verb. So you have to put down the facts and then analyze them. In pre-primary Unit 2 number 4.4 and junior primary number 2.6, explain the importance of storytelling and story reading for early literacy development. Only explain it, DLTA. DPP Unit 2 number 4.6.2, paragraph 1, 2 and 3. And in the DJP, you will find this in number 3.3. Explain while only informal and formative assessment are suitable to assess young children, and then describe what is meant by informal and formative assessment. So the explanation, you must explain why you cannot use any other assessment, and then you must only describe the 2 types of assessment, informal and formative assessment. In the junior primary study guide number 3.4, you will find this, but the pre-primary students can also be asked to answer this question from practical experience in a pre-primary classroom. Describe how this thematic integrated approach to pre-primary education work. Now, what is the thematic integrated approach? This is when you combine all subjects under one theme. For instance, the theme, my body. In mathematics, you do mathematics sums about the body. In reading, you will read a story about the body. In phonics, you will have words out of the story about the body. And in environmental studies, you will have the discussion on how the body works. And they are all integrated one with the other. After this, you will have to discuss the benefits of the thematic integrated approach in your pre-primary education or junior primary education. Then, in the pre-primary study guide, Unit 2, number 4.6, and in the junior primary study guides, it's in number 3.7 and 3.8, learning materials. In table form, list 10 different types of teaching and learning materials that you can establish in your classroom to promote preparatory and incidental reading in your class. In the adjacent columns, state in which way it will assist the learner in developing the language concepts. Please note that teaching and learning materials is something physical that you can see. It's not like a game. It's something physical that you must establish in your classroom. In the pre-primary study guide, Unit 3 under the word wall, and in the junior primary number 3.8.2, describe how you can develop and extend children's vocabulary in your pre-primary classroom by using the well-known word wall. Then in the pre-primary and the junior primary, this is the part on the parts of speech and the language acquisition. Use the given sentence. I will always provide you with a sentence that you need to use, and provide each different part of speech with its specific function and all examples from the sentence. The following parts of speech can be tested: a verb, a noun, a pronoun, adverb, adjective, preposition, conjunction. Also main sentences and phrases. Also subjects and objects. And then you can be asked to change a given sentence into the following tenses: present tense, past tense, and future tense. Present continuous tense, past continuous tense, and future continuous tense. Please, students, make sure there's a difference between a present tense and the present continuous tense. Make sure that you know the difference. Also, very important pieces to study and to be able to apply is the following to different sentences is punctuation and capitalization, sentence structure, sentence construction, conjunctions, determiners, quantifiers, spelling, synonyms, and opposites. This is the grammar of English. You should know English grammar. To the student, please use the refs provided with the questions above to find the answers and to study them for your examination. If you cannot find it, please send me an email and ask me to help you with this. If you have any question you would like to ask me, it is best to email it to me at vanheerdenfam@gmail.com, and I can give you a well-constructed answer. I will answer every email. But when emailing me, please name your course code, your subject code, and your semester code, like DJP or DPP, MT1 or MT2, and English. As I am the tutor in mother tongue in different courses and in different languages. When you phone me with the questions, I sometimes cannot hear you properly. Most of the times I'm not at a place where I can look in the study guide, and due to the cost of the cell phone charges, we keep the conversations short. Thus, the answer may not be of the same quality as of that of an email answer. Please note, I teach afternoon classes and cannot answer my phone during teaching time. So please adhere strictly to my calling times, Monday to Thursdays from 9 to 12 in the morning and from 5 to 8 in the evening. Fridays only 9 to 12. Unfortunately, I will not be answering any calls over weekends. Also, please note that the tutors do not work in the IOL office. We are part-time workers and cannot help you with any administrative problems. I cannot help you when you didn't receive your study guide or your course material, and I cannot help you if you didn't receive your marks. That is the work of the administrative personnel of the IOL office. I can only help you with problems concerning your subject content, and I will help you. Please send me an email. Do not send the email a day before your exam. Please send it like a month before your exam, so that you can have enough time to study. I wish you the best of luck for your examination. Thank you.